Commission meeting to order for October 25th. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please. Chris is going to help us out because Robert Muesling is not here tonight.
Deborah Addy.
Absent excused.
Mark Borchardt.
Here.
Christopher Daggy.
Here.
Chris Hiltunen.
Absent excused.
Christine Holcomb here. Tom Kozel.
Here.
Robert Muesling.
Absent excused.
Wayne Tornow.
Here.
And Kathy Schweikart.
Here, thank you. Item number 4, approval/amendments to the agenda. Any comments? Otherwise, I need an motion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mark Borchardt.
Yes.
Christopher Daggy.
Yes.
Christine Holcomb, yes. Tom Kozel.
Yes.
Wayne Tornow.
Yes.
Kathy Schweikart.
Yes, thank you. Item number 5, approval of minutes of September 27th, 2023. That would be 5A.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as drafted.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mark Borchardt.
Yes.
Christopher Daggy.
Yes.
Christine Holcomb, yes. Tom Kozel.
Yes.
Wayne Tornow.
Yes.
Kathy Schweikart.
Yes, thank you. Next, I want to ask for the rules for the public comment and public hearing comments be read. So everybody is printed on our agenda, but we usually read them out loud. So go ahead, Chris.
Item 1, all comments must be made through the chairperson. Comments directed to the applicant from the audience are prohibited. Item 2, individuals wishing to speak have time limits. 3 minutes for each member of the general public and 6 minutes for a spokesperson of a larger group. 3, anyone wishing to speak is asked to sign the sheet provided. However, anyone wishing to speak will be given the opportunity. Item 4, each individual will be allowed to speak once. It will be the chairperson's decision as to whether rebuttal comments will be allowed. 5, citizens may appoint a spokesperson to represent those who agree on a point of view. 6, public comments on a specific public hearing request shall be made during the public hearing for that item. That concludes the rules.
Thank you. So then moving on to item number 6, which is new business, is a public hearing.
Kathy requests to be excused from the public hearing on this issue due to within 300 feet of the proposed property.
I appreciate that. That's correct. So Mark is going to be recused from this part of the meeting, which is the public hearing for this piece of property. He can rejoin us after we get through this. So we'll just give him a moment.
Sorry.
With that being said, the public hearing I will open now at 7:05. Our timekeeper is going to be Skip. It's, again, I'll just repeat, 3 minutes for individuals, 6 minutes for a group. So I will open the public hearing at 7:05 regarding the parcel for 741406001800. The applicants are here, correct? I would just let you know, obviously you can tell we're missing 3 members of our board, plus Mark now has stepped out because of the reasons stated. Are you okay with us proceeding forward with the public hearing at this point?
Yes, we think so.
Okay, and can I have your name for the record, please?
Sure. Tom Michaels with Sur Group. We are the developer.
Thank you so much. I'll defer to Steve, who is our planner.
Good evening, Commissioners. The request is from ELC BTS Retail. It's to rezone property from R1 to actually C2. The original request came in at C3, was published as C3, but they amended their request to C2. We did check with the attorney because the C2 district is more restrictive. It's appropriate to allow them to ask for a lesser district. So they couldn't go from a C2 to a C3, but they could go from a C3 to a C2. The applicant is requesting, like indicated, from R1 zoning to C2 small business. It's for 2.3 acres. It's currently vacant, and they'd like to develop a 10,640 square foot retail building. They're anticipating that would employ about 3 people per shift and provide 45 parking spaces. The details of the plans, if they receive zoning, site plan will still have to come back to the planning commission, so we assure that all the appropriate measures, such as anything adjacent to single-family homes, nuisance preventions, parking, everything like that, landscape would be provided and dealt with at that time. Right now, we're only dealing with whether the property should be rezoned. I provided you with a chart on the page 3 in our review. To the north, it's zoned R1, it's vacant, it's single family. To the east is a variable of different zoning uses, commercial and single family. To the south across the street, it's single family, and to the west, it's single family. They're seeking rezoning, like I said. Just so you know, C2 rezoning would allow following permitted uses: convenience, retail, laundry mats, dry cleaning, restaurants, drive-throughs, and that. If they had proceeded with the C3, it could have been more obnoxious type uses like storage yards and auto repair and that, but they've withdrawn that from the agenda. The current zoning patterns, currently there are numerous commercial establishments up and down the road there. The master plan does indicate that properties directly to the east are envisioned to be commercial based on the proximity to the commercial properties that are there currently, as well as the commercial growth that the master plan anticipates. We are recommending approval.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. On behalf of the applicant, if you'd like to come forward, please state your name and if you're the applicant or how you represent them.
Good evening. Tom Michaels. I'm with Sur Group. We are the applicant and developer for the proposed project. Steve, thank you for your for intro. It's a good summary of what we're requesting to do. As Steve mentioned, we're asking for a rezone to C2 to allow for a general retail development. Of course, this is just for the rezoning, allowing for retail use. But there's certainly no secret what our objective is. We would like to develop a Dollar General store on that site. That's a 10,000 square foot retail store. This would be a new store in the region. It's not replacing another store. As you indicated, we're asking for the rezone. We know the property is very large. It goes north, quite a ways. The northern portion of the property has, some wetlands and kind of mixed vegetation. We are not developing that portion. We're looking for just the portion along the main street, about 2.3 acres plus or minus. The rest of that would remain R1 zoning, nor are we purchasing that portion of it. In selecting this particular site, as Steve mentioned, the master plan does in fact call for commercial development up and down Point Trumbull Road in both directions. For whatever reason, this particular parcel was carved out of that. As the planner's recommendation states, this particular parcel still shows residential use, but everything along that strip, east and west, is called for commercial, including a number of existing homes today. This is really the only vacant parcel that we could easily obtain without tearing down homes or things of that nature. So we think that even though this particular parcel wasn't called for residential, it very well fits with the master plan and what the intent is for that corridor, and hopefully is a harmonious use. And it's next to an existing business on the east side, the burger stand. It's across from Colony Marine, and it's close to the gas station and some other uses as you come closer to town. I'm certainly welcome to take questions. I have exhibits that show the site plan. I think you've all seen this, but I certainly can show what the site plan or what the layout looks like, and happy to take questions.
All right, thank you.
Is the portion you want to rezone separate from the rest, a different ID? So it would only be that portion?
It's all one parcel today, but upon a successful rezone, we would ask for a lot split to split off our portion at the street. It's probably worth noting as well, in our plan, if you look at our parcel here, there's access left to the remainder of the site where, we'll carve out, so there's going to be a drive access still that goes to the rear, and that would be at the west side, closest to the home to the west.
How can we be assured that you do that?
Well, we can't purchase the whole parcel. We won't have the zoning for it. We'll purchase just the part that is rezoned to commercial, and that's what we're under contract to purchase. The site is under contract today with an exhibit that shows just that site with a legal description.
How wide would the access be going back in there?
66 feet.
Any other questions at the moment? Well, thank you for your presentation. I'm going to turn it out to members of the audience. So if you'd like to have a seat, we'll see where we go from there. Anybody who's...
Can you leave the map? Certainly. Where should I leave this?
Want to just leave it up here? That's fine.
Thank you.
Any member of the audience who would like to come forward to speak on this particular public hearing, please come to the podium, state your name, your address.
Yes, my name is Richard Quenneville. I live at 9233 Maynard Road down there in Clay. I've lived in the same house on that street for 53 years. So I have seen the ups and downs of that property back there. When my wife and I first moved there, that was a golf course. So in 1979-80, we had the high water to the point where I was able to take my duck boat and punt across the canal to Phelps Road and back. So I'm thinking to myself, a few years ago, somebody wanted to develop that to put condos in there. And I said, well, I could see condos being underwater at some point down the road. So fast forward to 2 or 3 years ago, we had high water again. Well, at that time, the Phragmites weed has grown up over that whole property back there where you really can't see too much anymore. But I'm pretty sure the water was just as high back there as it was 40 years ago. So all I'm saying is, I'm not against any development or anything, but I'd think real hard about wanting to develop something where the threat's always going to be there for high water. I mean, it's obvious. I've lived around the lake all my life, and you see the water go up for a few years, you see it go down. So I'm just asking the board here to think real hard about approving a project that potentially could be the subject of more flooding down the road. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
My name's Peter Tambo. I live at 9195 Maynard. Just a few questions for the board and for the developer. Putting in a project like that, you're going to have a parking lot. What are you going to do with the runoff water from the parking lot? We have no storm sewer system in that area whatsoever or in the township. Your cars are full of leaking oil, all that stuff runs off where it's going to leach into our marsh and contaminate that. Also, what plans do they have for beyond that? They're putting an access road in. What are they going to put back there? And how far back does that wetlands stop? Where's the dividing line where they can only build back so far? They were turned down years ago for the big project, and they were going to build all the way back. Okay? But then you got to look at your standard sewer system, your water system, which right now is at max capacity for the township. So you've got that. And the last thing is traffic. What are you going to do with traffic? They put a left turn lane in Anchorville. So, I mean, these are just some points that I don't know if you've thought those over or anybody brought them up or not, but I just wanted to, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate the comments. Any other member of the audience?
Yeah, I'd like to speak.
Sure.
My name is Leonard Kian, and I live at 5667 Point Trumbull Road. I'm directly across from the parcel in question. What I want to talk about is there's three visions here, right? There's a vision of the master plan, There's my vision, and there's the vision that's being discussed tonight. I know it's not going to be popular with some of the comments that just were previously done, but if there's anything to be done with this property, it needs to remain residential. I mean, we have a need for residential communities, and I envision coming into town and seeing a beautiful development, an open space, an environment where new people can move to the community, and this would be a nice, inviting area. This property lends itself to have a huge focal point. As you come into town, here's what you get. This is a subdivision, not what they're proposing this evening. That's one of my primary concerns. I think this would be better suited for that. What they're planning to do is leave, in essence, an alleyway to get back into this property, making it less desirable. This is, to me, is a horrible decision. They've choked this property down. They've taken most of the prime frontage that makes this property so valuable as a residential community, and they've taken it and necked it down to a small portion that if you were to live in this neighborhood, you'd have to drive, in essence, down an alley to get back into your neighborhood. Nobody wants that. That property would just be useless, as a future development. It's on the master plan. That's what it calls for. That's what most people, I think, would rather have at this point. We need residents. We need new homes. We need new stuff like that in this community. If I could, I just have 3 quick questions. They don't have to be answered tonight, but I just want to raise the questions for the board, okay?
And we are in receipt. It was in our package, or I'll call it PowerPoint maybe presentation.
It
so
was,
we,
yes.
Okay, we do.
Did you
I wanted
receive
to
that?
acknowledge that at least, okay?
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you received that. And all I want to do is, again, you don't need to address the questions now. I would just like you to consider them for this decision. My first question is on the master plan. I understand that certain things need to be adjusted to go forward because the master plan isn't, set in stone. But what value is it to this community in making this change to this property? Question 1. Vacant commercial currently existing along M29. Currently, there is vacant commercial property along M29, right? Why is there a need to rezone this particular property when these other currently exist? This business could be developed in other locations without deviating from the future land use that's already in place on the property we're talking about. Third, would denying the request to rezone prevent this current or future owner from developing this property as it is in its current state zoned? That's the last question, and that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your hard work on your PowerPoint and your comments tonight.
Okay,
Thank you. Any other members of the audience who would like to come forward and speak on this topic?
My name's Timothy Barker, 9245 Maynard. I've been here like 12, 13 years. I moved in because it was slash marsh canal. Beautiful scenery. To me, it's a wetland. To me, it'll always be a wetland. And my second question is this property already purchased, or is it in the plans to be purchased?
Thank you.
That's
So,
it? You don't get no answer?
He made the comment that they're under contract. That's all we know.
Under contract to buy or under contract to develop?
Go ahead.
May I answer?
Sure, go ahead.
We're under contract to purchase the parcel. Our contract is subject to getting all of our approvals and entitlements.
Well, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the,
My name's Todd Delia. I've been across the street from there since 1993, live next door to Lenny. And when you put a business there, you're going to add to the traffic. I don't know how many times since 1993 I have to make a Y out of my driveway because the traffic is so busy. There's times I'll sit there for 10 to 15 minutes and waiting just to pull out. It's dangerous. That's 45-degree per mile on that street. Are they calling for, I don't see anywhere where there's a egress or an ingress for that property. So they're going to be stopping right in front of my driveway, people to make a left turn or a right turn into that place, backing up driveways, backing up traffic. Already Ashjess, I think that's how you say that restaurant. Ackett's. They've put in an extra driveway besides the one they have. It's like a gravel. I don't know if you've been over there to see that. That guy, the people, the workers, they'll turn into that gravel driveway. And there's been times where they're facing someone that wants to turn in, like Lenny one time wanted to go in his driveway. And there's a standoff. It's like, okay, who goes first? I don't know if that was approved, but all that was a backup. You could just see the lines of backing up. And I think you need to take into consideration, when they were going to put all that development, that was another thing, that they're right across the street from the people that live there. There's a roll of us. Dave that lives on the other side, he's here tonight. We have to, for our own safety, we can't even back out of our driveways. We've got to make a Y to go left or right, just to be safe. Today I went into New Baltimore and it's raining. I'm like, I don't know how long it took me to get out of that driveway with the traffic coming. So that's the point I want to make.
Appreciate that. Anyone else in the audience?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Melissa Lapam, and we live at 9255 Phelps Road. So we're on the back side of the property itself, and I'm just looking for further clarification that it's not going to impact the wetlands and the marsh and the nature and the beauty of everything that's happening on that side of the property. I understand that the business will be on the M29 side, but long-term, will the zoning impact the backside of that property, even if it's split? I'm just looking for that clarification.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's Joe Wallach. I live at 9175 Maynard. And I have a couple of questions and I guess concerns. First one, has there been a traffic study done regarding that area of road? Second, it used to be called, no, I'm not really up on my game here, it used to be called a DEQ. I think it's called EGLE now, where you have to get them to give approval. Have they been contacted and have they looked at this project? Also, I don't want my community to look ugly. I'm into the wild, like a couple of the folks mentioned. I like the wetlands. I like the way the wildlife is using that property. I live on, we call it a ditch. I'm on the canal behind the house, and we really enjoy watching what's going on back there. My concern is you're going to put more concrete, you're going to have more building going on, and this is the first step. It's going to keep going and going and going, and you might as well call this Sterling Heights, or let's call it Marysville on Gratiot, or let's call it Fort Gratiot, and we're going to start looking like that. It's starting to look ugly. And it's not a place, you know, I go up and down the Lake Michigan. I go up into Upper Peninsula, and I drive along the lakes. And this is starting to look tacky, I'm going to be honest with you, in my opinion. And I'm wondering if that's a consideration for the younger people that are going to live here. Are they going to be happy living under what this is going to look like with all of this kind of development? I was thinking, boy, some of that property would really be good for the school children to learn about nature. You got a high school right there. Let's teach them about nature. This is what you do to protect nature. And this is what you have to do to protect global warming. I know a lot of people don't believe in that, but, you know, it could be used for a Dollar General, please. I see so many dollar stores, they make me dizzy. I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Any other members of the public who'd like to come forward?
Yeah, my name is Todd Wer. I live at 9165 Maynard. I'm kind of agree with Joe on that. I'd like to keep it nature. I moved out here for the nature. I come from the city. I don't like it. That's why we come out here. All my kids are moving their way out here. They want country. You want the city, go to Detroit. Go somewhere else, not here. Keep it the way it is. Dollar General, we got one in Elginak. We got one in New Baltimore. One just closed in New Baltimore. Why are you going to add another one? That don't make sense to me. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other members of the audience?
Good evening. I live at 5764 Point Trumbull. I live right in front of where you want to develop this.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could you just state your name, please?
Oh, Carla. I'm
Carla.
sorry. Saw it.
Thank you.
And I've listened to all these guys, and I just found out about this shortly ago. I live right in front of it. That parcel you want to put that on, we go there. We walk there. We watch the deer there. We have bunny rabbits there. The stores are for uptown. Where you're purposing on this Dollar General is not town. We are not town. We live outside of town. Town is Algonac. There's plenty of places up there, and you're right, we really don't need a Dollar General. The one in Fairhaven is wonderful. I go to it all the time. The one in Algonac, well, could lose a little work, like it or not. And where they're proposing this, and they're right about the floods. We had the floods. We just redid our whole home, our whole yard. Our yard stretches back and touches what you want to do. I don't want cement back there. There is no place for runoffs. There is no place for overflows, and it will be flooded. It is wetlands, and that is what I'm asking you to keep it, is wetlands. I have lived here my whole life, 60 plus years. I have seen them come, seen businesses go. They've all stayed in the same spots. They've made different stuff, but it's still been outside of town. Town is there. This is outside of town. That's where we choose to live. Please keep it that way. I thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Any other member of the audience like to come forward? Comments?
I'm Dave Kasparowski, and I live right across the street from this proposed site. One thing I could tell you is on the sides of the road where I'm at, when they were putting in the water lines, when they were putting in the gas lines, we're not going to be able to expand the road out any more than what it is on the south side of Point Trumbull. I don't know what they have to do on the north side, but they better start making a lane way down the line. When we go to Acas, when he first opened, there was no place for the people. They had the line going 6 houses. I mean, I can't, 200 yards at least, with cars lined up, just trying to get into Acas, and they're at the side of the road. You're going to take and put this other subdivision in here? You're going to put a 10,000, was it 10,600 feet?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, what's the dimensions of that? I can't remember. 100?
I would have to look at the plans. They're not drawn.
So it's a,
It's a,
you're an engineer, you know what you're talking about. How big is the store? Big as Kroger's?
oh, no. For actual-
100 by 100 would be 10,000 square feet.
100 by 100? That is one big store. There is no, we need to have a traffic study. There is no place in the world you should be putting in this subdivision and this 10,000 square foot store. I can't even get out of my driveways now. Are you going to put a traffic light and 3 more lanes? If you're not adding more lanes, you need to move this someplace else. And I know that he's wrong about commercial properties.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
If you could direct your comments to us first.
Okay.
And thank you.
Well, I heard that there are 2 or 3 other commercial properties that are rated commercial right now. And why don't they look at that instead of trying to further down the line? There's no room for a store in a subdivision over here unless you put another 2 or 3 lanes, and you have to do a traffic study. You need to put a traffic light there. I can't get out of my driveway now half the time. And you could ask those 2 people over here too. Depending on the day. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Paula Burgess, and I live at 5909 Point Trumbull Road. I'm down a little bit from this property, but the amount of traffic that we have that goes through that area is absolutely ridiculous. We agree with you. We have to sit out in front and wait till traffic clears. There's always congestion. We have Privilege Boulevard, Maynard Drive, and then down the road, Ackett's Burgers, and then now we're going to have the dollar store. We have enough down there. Just like you said, you're going to have to make your roads wider. You're going to have to put up lights because otherwise there's going to be even more accidents than we have right now. So the last thing we need is a Dollar General. I go to the one in Fairhaven. If I need something, I have no problems going up there. This has been the same property. I've lived here my entire life. I'm 6 generations here. This is not downtown, and we don't want to have a downtown. So for that reason, I think we should just let this one pass.
Thank you. Any other members? Well, hold on. You want to? Go ahead.
Shannon Cote. I live at 2985 Fruit Street, and I'm not going to speak for or against. I am going to bring up something I haven't heard yet: infrastructure for drainage. And pardon me, because I'm not native to this area. 17 years, but not native. The Maynard Drain. Oh, I'm sorry. The Maynard Drain, I suppose it was probably 4 years ago when Anchor Bay Drive backed up and you get the sewer drains and the water drains were emptied from there. It flooded all of Pearl Beach Boulevard, Maynard, all of those streets, and those properties were underwater completely. So as a realtor and a concerned citizen, I just simply ask, even if you put in storm sewers and such for this property, it needs to be heavily considered what happens when they get backed up and you're trying to make certain that the main road doesn't flood and you empty those sewer drains. Where are they going to drain to? I'm sure probably the Maynard drain. So then where do they go from there? But they flood, again, all of those back streets. So I guess I would heavily suggest, as much as everybody wants an impact study for traffic, I would definitely want the whole drainage system looked at. That's all.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you state your name one more time? She didn't get it.
I'm sorry. It's Shannon Cote, COTE.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Any other members?
The store is fine. Mike Reitner.
Thank you.
9276 Maynard. The store idea, it is what it is. My concern is further back. Homes, condos, traffic study, like everyone mentioned, the draining. Sanitary is going to be your big one. I believe we already have a sanitary issue. We put more homes and condos in there. I believe we're going to be underwater. Under sanitary, we're going to have to upgrade that plant uptown before we get any large residential areas going on. That would be my concern. I just know a little bit about that, so that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other member like to come forward?
Lisa Fiorani, 9231 Maynard Drive.
Can you state your name one more time? I'm sorry.
Lisa Fiorani.
Thank you.
My concerns would be the same as everybody has here. I would say a big one is the traffic. I live on Maynard. In the summertime, I have to sit at the end of my road sometimes for over 10 minutes just to make a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn to go up to town. The drainage, the runoff, gas, oil going into our Maynard drain in our marshland with our wildlife. There are plenty of commercial properties that are available uptown, as people have said, but also if they're dead set on being in Clay, you have an empty the shop that's been an eyesore for years. That's already zoned commercial property, I would imagine. So I just don't see this, and it's ugly. A Dollar General's ugly. I'm sorry, they are. And I just think that we should pass on this like everybody else says. So I'm just reiterating what everybody else has said. Please consider this heavily. It impacts our area, the beauty of it, and the reason people live here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from members of the audience?
Just one thing.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on.
Sorry.
And truly, we're only going to give everybody one shot at this, okay? Thank you, though.
My name is Jesse Gregory. I live at 5720 Point Trumbull. It's basically the property that's right to the west, basically next to where the alleyway would be, the brick house. My main concern is with the traffic. I have 4 boys, the safety of my children. They use that sidewalk all the time. And not only that, my backyard, it floods right now. So if they're, they're going to build that property, they're going to raise the grade of it, and I'm going to be basically underwater. It's mainly the safety of my children, but it's just even with the buses there, we can't really control cars flying around the bus. The traffic just gets insane there sometimes. So that's all.
Well, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Anyone else that hasn't spoken yet? All right. One more time. Anybody else who hasn't had a chance to speak on this public hearing? All right. I'm seeing none at this particular point. Just one second.
Are you making a decision this evening?
We're conducting a public hearing. We don't know where we're going just yet. So at this particular point, I think I'd be okay to close the public hearing. And Steve, if you had any more comments, or the planner, the applicant?
I think most of the comments or questions can be answered by the engineer.
Okay, then how about, and you're the engineer, correct? Okay. And your name is?
Mike McPherson.
Okay. You want to come forward again?
Sure.
And this is rezoning, so we have to keep that in mind, correct?
Yes, that would be a number of very, very good comments, and I won't go through and list everything, but I'll try to we can both try to address things kind of in clusters, some of the common things that we've heard. Number one, to your exact point, this is solely to ask for the rezone of the property. As you mentioned at the onset, this really has nothing to do with even the final use. Frankly, this is just we'll come back to you with site plans and our design and so forth at a future time. It's also worth mentioning that this is situated on a state route in the township. We will require an MDOT permit to construct our driveway access. MDOT will ask a number of the same questions that I think your residents here are. It's probably also worth mentioning, as we know, that retail stores such as this one, they're not new traffic generators. They're not going to bring in extra tourists or more traffic from outside. These are typically people who are on their way home from work or already in the community. Certainly understand concerns about people backing into the state route and so forth. And yes, it's a busy state route. I think there may be concerns outside of our purview that may need to be looked at another time. I think the other common one, and if you don't mind, I'll turn the mic over to our civil engineer, Mike McPherson. He can walk through what the floodplain issues, the wetlands, and our stormwater.
Yeah. I heard a lot about high water and wetlands and things like that. And yes, to the north of the site, there is established floodplain. There are wetlands. But again, we're talking about the 2 acres directly adjacent to the road. And when you look at the bigger picture, that's this. This is the whole property. So this whole back portion, this whole back 40 acres of property, a lot of it is in floodplain and wetland we're not proposing to do anything with that. We're not proposing to rezone that. That's not part of our
That's not even
request
part of your
whatsoever.
purchase.
Correct.
No,
We're not under
it's not
contract.
part of
We
our
have nothing
request
to do.
whatsoever. So, but as far as floodplain, wetlands, and things like that go, somebody mentioned MBAQ. They're now called Eagle with the state. Yeah, we'll have to get lots of permits, right, for everything, including our Eagle permits, erosion control, stormwater, all that stuff. We have talked with both the county and the township engineers about stormwater in this area already. We have a general idea of how we're going to handle that. We would pre-treat it, for total suspended solids, pollutants, that type of stuff. Just typical stormwater handling that you would do in any community. But that would be stuff, again, that would, we give you all the detailed design later on in the process, right, when we get to that point. So all that stuff would go through the proper reviews and permitting. What else did I see here? Parking lot. Oh, sanitary and water capacity. Again, 2 acres of retail is going to have less demand for water and sanitary than if it was residential.
Even one house.
Yeah, this is less than one house worth of demand. So I don't see that as any type of issue. And again, the back part of that property is not part of this request at all. So I know a lot of people mentioned subdivision or condos or whatever. That's not going to be our property. We're not proposing anything back there. That would be by others in the future or whatnot. That's not a consideration. What else did I see here? We talked about the drainage. How far back does the zoning go? Again, it's 2 acres. So this goes back approximately from the road. It goes back approximately about 400 plus or minus feet, compared to the whole property, which is. I don't have all the dimensions on here, but it's about 2,500 feet deep. So, just a small portion of it. Golf course beyond residential. Yeah, I mean those are the big kind of design elements. But again, we understand the challenges with designing and building it, and there's going to be lots of permits. Tom's point. MDOT's going to control the driveway. We've preliminarily talked to MDOT. If they require a traffic study, we'll do a traffic study. If they require turn lanes, we're going to do we're going to do what they require. It's their road from that aspect. Like I said, the Eagle permits, all the other stuff. I mean, we understand everything that's going to take, right? This is just really step one to see if it's a fit, right? For changing this over to commercial. So if there's anything else questions that you folks might have, be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you. Anybody?
So again, that back portion, that's not you at all.
Not at all.
Nothing's going to change there. It's
No,
going to remain.
we're not proposing
to
to rezone it.
It won't be you guys that change it.
Nothing. Not touching it.
Excuse me,
Not
could
rezoning it. Not purchasing it.
Excuse
Nope.
me. I'm sorry.
You just got that 2.3 up front.
Just that. That's it.
This is strictly a public hearing that was conducted for rezoning of just that piece of
Just
property.
that 2.3 acres. That's correct.
This doesn't change anything outside of that. The wetlands area to the north, where it butts up against Phelps Road, it has nothing to do with us. The same person who owns the entire parcel today will continue to own all that, after we're done. And I don't know what his plans are, but he's owned that parcel for over a decade.
Yes. Anybody else?
Have you gotten any feedback or made any inroads with St. Clair County Drain Commission?
We've talked to the Drain Commission, yes. Essentially, the Drain Commission really doesn't have any jurisdiction here unless we connect directly to a drain, which we're likely not going to do. So we also have talked to the Township engineering consultant, and the Road Commission for that matter, and Eagle for that matter. So, essentially this whole site drains north, pretty much sheet flow. It is a large wetland back there complex. There is a drain to the west that goes north. It sort of wraps around the back, a long ways to the back as well. So, we're going to provide on-site treatment, some form of flood control detention, with again, outlet in the same path that it goes now, essentially. Now, I have not detailed designed it. We haven't graded it, so I can't share exactly with it yet. But that's the conceptual thought in talking with all the agencies, preliminarily.
If I can, and kind of in, layman's term summary is, as the site sits today, there are no controls whatsoever. Rain falls, it runs off the site. When the site floods from the ditch or elsewhere, it backs up into the site. What Mike's describing is, basically the rain that our section will create has to be detained on site and released slowly over time after a rain event. So, so the flooding concerns, it actually will be better.
It'll be designed to mimic the existing condition. Now, I understand that there's definitely floodplain back there. I mean, it's on floodplain maps. There's established elevation. It's an AE floodplain. This whole area is directly connected to the river. So as the river goes, the water elevation goes. So you get a nice jam, you get whatnot. Certainly, it floods. Where we're proposing, our development will be out of the floodplain. The building will be set at appropriate elevation where it's, again, a minimum, at least a minimum above what the floodplain is, all that good stuff. We'll have to be looking at all that, getting all the appropriate permits for it. So.
Okay, what prompted my question, we've got a checklist, and on it, it's from the Water and Sewer Department here at Clay, and they punted the thing over to St. Clair County. So that's where I was going with it. Is the storm drainage adequate? Nope. Got to check with St. Clair County. There's a couple other ones on here, the same thing. So, I mean,
yep.
With me, it's a big concern.
Yep. No, agree. It's a challenging site from a drainage perspective. That's why, we have, vetted it out with a bunch of agencies up front here before we get into any sort of design, really. So, to make sure we all have a general agreement of how we are going to approach it. So.
And just to emphasize, if we're able to successfully rezone the property, our next step would be to come back to you with engineered site plans where we'd really delve into that and make sure that this is designed to county spec and that it would not cause problems.
And we're not the final say on this either.
Correct.
Just got to be approved by the board?
Correct. Yeah, that's our understanding too, yes.
And when you get to that point, again, this is just for rezoning. There's a lot that goes into it.
Right, there's a
Steve,
whole, yes.
Yeah, as Steve can explain, we can have input on what it looks like on the outside and different.
Mm-hmm.
We did that in the past with other buildings. So, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve or anybody else?
Could I ask a question?
No, I'm going to say at this point, no, because we've done it.
It's an important question about Eagle.
But Eagle is going to be dealt with later. This is just strictly for rezoning, and any questions regarding Eagle.
There may be a possibility they might not be able to build at all.
And that's their risk, not ours.
Yes.
That's their
Correct.
risk. I totally agree with what you're saying. I want to refocus us to, and Steve or anybody else can correct me, this is strictly for a request for rezoning. All the concerns that everybody have said about Eagle, the developer, landowner, that's their risk. We're just here trying to stay in our lane, as our attorney would tell us, and deal with what is in front of us, which is a request at this particular point from going from R1, it originally said to C3, but the applicant amended, which was perfectly fine, to C2, which is a lesser use for this particular. And again, it's only for that 2.30 acres right along M29. So I'm sure this board up here understands that we get this a lot about sanitation, design. This particular hearing is just strictly for this. Everybody will be welcome if we get past this and the developer continues on their path. They will have to come back in front of us. They will have to go through the review process for a site plan. They go to the building department, our building department head here, Gary's here, Steve. We take it seriously to try to balance what we're doing with our community and their thoughts. And we appreciate everybody being here tonight to give us that. That's what we're here for. So, with that said, I'm not sure I closed the public hearing. Does anybody? I did? Okay, thank you. So, Steve, you all set? Any other?
You just need to, just remind everybody, this is a recommending body.
Yes,
Final
thank you.
decision is made by the township board.
Thank you for that, because I usually forget that aspect of it. So thank you. So with our members that we have, as little as we have, any further discussion? I mean, our options are, we can approve as requested, we could postpone, we could table, we could totally deny it. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question. In the master plan, it shows this 40-some acres as being R1. But how can that be? Because it's wetlands. I mean, I don't get it.
Maybe Steve can help me on this. Go ahead.
The master plan just designates generally the types of uses in the area. It doesn't specify whether they're developable or not. There are other extenuating circumstances, like wetlands, soil conditions, and that can play into the role. The master plan just gives you a general idea of future development of the township.
It's a vision for the
It's like impossible to tell where people want to put their money.
Yes, very much so. But it's a good question. Very good question.
So and I guess the other thing, getting back to it with the Clay Township, with the water department thing, I mean, most of it got punted to St. Clair County. Have we gotten anything back from St. Clair County?
No. But that will be dealt with in future. I mean, again, we're just rezoning if we are.
Correct.
At the request to rezone. Those items, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, or if Gary wants to chime in, those are things will be handled as we go through this process. If they even get to the process, who knows? Maybe somebody won't, they'll say you can't build on any of this. I don't know. That's not in our,
Right.
that's not ours to decide. We need to stay in our lane and remember we're here for the rezoning request. Okay? Good questions, though, from everybody.
I've got a question for Steve. If the deal doesn't come together and it's now been proposed, recommend for rezoning, rezoning stays at that point?
Yes.
So if the deal doesn't come together or the building doesn't get built, it's going to stay commercial?
It stays as commercially zoned.
Has the assessor reviewed the split, and are they on board with allowing the split?
They haven't, to my knowledge, received the split yet because the developer's trying to determine whether they are going to get rezoning prior to going through the paperwork to specify a split.
Thank you.
Tom, any questions?
Very well.
Anybody else? Again, I'll reiterate, your options are approve as requested. You can postpone if you think you want a little time to think about it.
It's approved to move to the board, right?
Correct. It's just a recommendation. It's
Recommendation
just
of approval or
Right.
denial.
Okay.
denial, yes.
All right. I'll make a motion for recommendation or denial to the board for the rezoning from R1 to C2 small business for property ID 74-14-06-0018-000 as proposed.
Support.
So we have a motion made by Tom, supported by Skip. Sue, are you?
Approval or denial to the board. No, for them to make approval or denial, not me.
No, you have to either have to.
Okay, approval.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, now we have.
Well,
a
they
mo-
get the choice to approve it or deny it, right?
Well,
So
we
all I'm
have-
doing is putting it on the table for, we're approving.
No, you have to make a
Yes,
recommendation
no.
of approval.
Okay, I make a recommendation to approve then, yes.
So, okay, let's start with the motion by Tom. Please state your motion.
Oh, okay, let's see if I can do this again.
Yes.
I recommend, make a motion to recommend approval to the board of the rezoning from R1 to C2 small business for 74-14-06-0018-000 as presented.
Okay, that's the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. So we have, excuse me, we have a motion by Tom, second by Chris, to approve the requested rezoning from R1 to C2. Any discussion? Sue, you got the motion? Chris, when you're ready, would you do a roll call, please?
Christopher Daggy.
Yes.
Christine Holcomb, yes. Tom Kozel.
Yes.
Wayne Torno.
No.
Kathy Schweikart.
Yes. It will now go on to the Board of Trustees for their either approval or not. So anybody who's here, please keep an eye on the agenda for the Board of Trustees, and I don't know, it's usually a month or so out that you'll see it, okay? So thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Appreciate it. I'm going to let Mark know, if somebody can you want to let Mark know that he can come back in?
He's probably sleeping.
He might be sleeping by now. Or Gary, would you let Mark know he can come back in, please? Thank you.
Are we going to use this?
You know, maybe we can figure it out tomorrow, because that's.
They all have to sign.
We all have to sign. I think we need to use that form, but I had to correct it because it said ZBA up the top. So that's why I
say yes.
Yes. No, we're waiting for our board member who,
This is our vote.
he recused himself, so I'm waiting for him to return. You're waking him up. There
He'll
you
be all
go.
upset with me.
Is he back there still?
He's right there.
Where'd he go?
He's right under the clock.
Oh, Mark. Hey, Mark. Mark. Excuse me.
Bang the gavel.
Yeah. There you go.
Making a dramatic entrance.
Yes. So, Chris, or Sue, could you note in the time that he returned so we were clear on our record? Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, here we go.
No,
Thank you for returning, Mark.
Get the back
We're going to
out
move
that
on.
one, too.
We're going to move on to item number 7, which is
Push it through.
unfinished
Get rid of the
business.
board.
Excuse me. Excuse me. We're still conducting the rest of our agenda meeting. Thank you. Everybody's welcome to stay. I'm just going to continue on. So item number 7 is unfinished business, which is on the rocks trial period. So in our packet, we have the minutes from when we did do the trial period. We have a couple of incident reports.
Oh, I gotta sign it.
So Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have to do another public hearing or anything like that. So at this particular point,
We granted on the rocks some extended hours above what's originally approved under special land use, which is less than the hours allowed by ordinance, but they had
Yes.
agreed originally. You granted them a 3-month trial period to see if there are any problems, and that's why you had the police report presented. Don't appear to be any problems based on the police report. Our suggestion is you allow it to continue permanently.
and just so I'm going to read into the record, the motion that was made back on 4/26/23 by Kozel, seconded by Borchardt, was to, and I'm just going to abbreviate it because it's on the record, is for outdoor entertainment on Friday and Saturday between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m., and extended outdoor bar hours on Friday and Saturday to between noon and 10 p.m. That's what we originally did the trial period for, was 4/26/23. So, everybody understood? Okay, so at this particular point, we need a motion, right?
So we make a motion to approve the on the rocks based on
The trial period.
the trial period from this meeting? Is that, you gotta refer to
The
this?
trial period that we instituted from 4/26/23, which
Okay.
was for, period began May 26, 2023 through September 4 of 2023. So the Friday before Memorial Day through Labor Day. Do you want me paper? I'll give it to you. Do you want to make the motion?
Okay.
Can you pass it down? That's why I print.
We only got that many
I have to,
police things, let's get through it.
It's up at the top.
The one you got the,
Yes, when I got the cute little squiggles around.
okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve, not the trial period, how would I say this?
eliminate the trial period.
To eliminate the trial period and approve the operating hours from May 28th through,
No.
no, see, I'm getting this all wrong here.
You're just going to approve.
For outdoor, okay,
Yeah, there
okay,
you
okay,
go.
okay.
No trial period. We
All
did
right.
that.
I'll make a motion to approve end of the trial period and approve the outdoor entertainment for Friday and Saturday between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. and extended outdoor bar hours on Friday and Saturday between noon and 10.
Okay.
Support.
So we have the motion by Tom, support by Mark. Sue, do you have the information? Any discussion from the board?
It's harder than the one I did
Okay, hold
before.
on, we got discussion. Go ahead.
Looking back at the minutes, I obviously wasn't on the board back then. And it says there was discussion regarding minimizing the noise. It may be beneficial for a certified technician to determine decibel levels. Did that happen?
The police said that that's like impossible. Where do you measure? And it was best left up to them to decide. You know, they make a call and they come in and.
Yeah, it's.
We tried to amend the noise
Yeah, we did try to get that in there.
ordinance, and
You weren't here. Go
The
ahead.
trustees
They came-
elected not to revise the noise
Yeah.
ordinance.
Okay, yeah, I look at this noise ordinance and
We tried.
tell you what.
Yeah.
Steve
It's
did a
sad.
lot of work. We,
All did a lot of work.
oh, yeah, everybody did a lot of work. We
They
sent
said
it
it
to
was
board
going to be too hard to
trustees.
Well,
enforce.
I won't beat the horse again, but.
No, you're more than welcome to, and if you need more understanding, that's perfectly understandable because you're new to this
Yeah,
whole
it's
program.
just, I know it's not the point here to discuss the ordinance, but, I mean, it lists every possible way you can make loud noises, but it doesn't tell you what a loud noise is, and it doesn't tell you how to measure it.
Thus, we
Yeah,
Exactly.
sent a draft that was prepared by our planner and sent it to the board to look at, and they are the body who takes care of that, and their decision was to leave our ordinance where it's at. So
Okay.
that's where we're at. So that's all we can do because we're just a recommending body.
Right.
So we
Okay.
appreciate your comments, though.
No,
Especially as a new board member, I really appreciate your comments.
And agree with it.
Yes, and agree
Yeah.
with it, but that's the way this
preaching
system
to the
works.
choir, I get it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Tom, supported by Mark. Any, go ahead.
Is this going to the trustees also or not?
Would this have to go to the trustees, the board of trustees, this motion? No, no.
No.
Because it's not rezoning, it's the other
Yeah,
form.
this is-
No.
We have new forms we're dealing with, that's why we're questioning which one we should be using. Sorry about that. So no, use that one. Okay, any discussion by anybody else? No. Roll call, please.
Mark Borchardt,
Yes.
Christopher Daggy,
Yes.
Christine Holcomb, yes. Tom Kozel.
Yes.
Wayne Tornow,
Yes.
Kathy Schweikart.
Yes, all right. On the rocks has got where they're at. How's that? Okay? Thank you, everyone, on that one. Item number 8 is planning consultants report. Steve?
Siri here. Let me know if I can help.
You should have got here earlier.
Where have you been?
Go ahead, Steve, sorry for the
You did
interruption.
have a request, somebody applied for a cell tower, a replacement cell tower.
Yes.
They're decommissioning the cell tower on 8210 Starville Road, and they wanted to place it on 8101 Macomb. They were calling it a replacement, but our ordinance says you can only replace towers on the same property without a permit. But you need special land use approval if it's a new tower technically on different property. So they applied for a special land use permit, and upon review, we determined that the property was zoned residential. Cell towers are not allowed on residential property. They were advised that today, that their options would be to ask the township to revise the ordinance or to seek a rezoning. There was also some peculiar language in the ordinance that talked about opportunities in residential districts. I told him I would talk to Christine Anderson. I did, and she said that the language does not pertain. So as it stands, if they want to build a new cell tower, it has to be in a non-residential, non-single-family residential district. So that's on hold. That's the only thing right now.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Thank you for all your work. Item number 9 is ZBA representatives report. That would be Chris.
All right, there was a number of items at the last meeting. It went quite late, 10:30.
Ooh.
But I'm not complaining.
10:30, that's a late one.
Yes. First item was a boathouse height issue on Mayberry Highway. It's the last house on the end going into the bay, and that was approved. There was 1142 North Channel. As regards to encroachment past the straight line setback, and that did get approved also. Let's see. Dyke Road, there was a request to reduce the front yard setback due to the right-of-way on Dyke Road, which is so far back. And that did get approved also. South Channel, there was a request to allow a second boathouse. They had one boathouse that was somewhat restricted due to bridges into the back area, and then they wanted to have a second boathouse out in the channel, and that was turned down. The last one was another one on North Channel for the straight line setback, and that did get approved also, approachment of that straight line setback. Certainly could get into a lot of detail on each one of those, but that's the gist of it.
I appreciate the gist of it. I think the rest of us probably do too, but thank you, and thank you for being our representative on that board.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate that. Item number 10 is board representatives report. We really don't have anything other than to mention our meeting for November is November 8th. We're getting into November, December, our meeting dates are a little different, so I would just remind everybody.
She's skipping.
I'm no account here, so it's okay.
November 8th, and if anyone is having difficulties not receiving their, I was going to call it packet, but their agenda packet via email, please talk to Amber and or Cindy Babish. No, because sorry. See, she's taken over Robert Newsing's job, and she's got a lot of questions. And thank you for being the timekeeper down there for the public hearing. I appreciate that.
What changed?
Huh?
What changed?
Robert Newsing's not here, so I wrangled
gotcha.
her in, and
It's been a while.
so we just kind of switched up a little bit, sharing the responsibilities. But actually, you know what? I skipped over you. I'm sorry.
Of course. I was
I
gone
was
half the meeting.
So I skipped. I went to 11, 9 and 11. I made a mistake. Sorry. We're going to go back to number 10. Go ahead.
All right, okay, nothing noteworthy as far as the planning commission is concerned, just general business at the last township board meeting. We did, everybody know Joanne Schursky?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the board passed a resolution accommodating her for the years that she spent on the trustee board, the planning commission.
Like
and
40 years worth?
Yeah, 45 years or whatever. So I thought that was quite nice, and we'll be seeing more of that as we move forward with the actual plaque or whatever. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Sorry for taking your spot. So we're going to go to item number 12 now, if I can read. It's planning commission member comments. Anybody on this planning commission want to make a comment?
Guess I went to that training thing last night up in
Yeah,
Port
how'd it go?
Huron. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah,
It was a good review of the first part.
No,
The second part was
I-
fascinating because it was the lawyer for Sanilac County was in there, and he just did kind of freewheel talking. And it was really beneficial. It was good.
Yeah.
Good.
Learned a lot about spot zoning. So,
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that.
no, you don't.
Any other things you wanted to tell us that we should
Could've used
be
that.
paying attention to?
Right. We've got some
No,
trees
he
up
had a
there
lot of
around here.
things that he said, don't ever do this.
Don't ever do this?
Yep.
Well, if you remember what it is,
I'll let you know.
yeah, before we do it, and
Before
we
we do
shouldn't
it, yeah.
do it.
If you
Steve
see me
usually
get
catches.
Nancy while you're doing it, then.
Yeah. How about any other planning commission member comments?
Public service announcements.
Oh, there you go.
Lions Halloween party on the island at the Lions Hall on Halloween. And trick or treating in downtown San Souci, which will be a first.
Yeah.
And coming up November 11th, the Lioness Soup Cook-Off at the Lions Hall. Lots of good soups to taste.
And we had the chili cook-off a week or so ago on the island. That was very well attended, so. Any other? I'm going to recognize that Gary's here. Thank you for attending, Gary. We appreciate it. Do you have any things, words of wisdom to impart to us? Are you sure? All right, you be that way. So I'm going to go to number 13, which is public comments. Anyone in the public who wishes to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address, kind of like we did for the public hearing. Same rules. Okay.
I just have a question, if that's okay. My name is Leonard Kian, 5667 Point Trumbull Road. The question is, I don't understand the process. So what happened earlier today, right? So this moves from here to another group?
Goes to the Board of Trustees. Please attend the Board of Trustees meeting or
Okay.
look for it on the
So that's-
website.
I think you mentioned November 8th.
No.
Oh,
Please, I don't want to confuse that. The date of November 8th is the Planning Commission next meeting,
okay,
okay? And it's just a little bit different. Usually our meetings are at the end of the month for Planning Commission.
okay,
Board of Trustees meets twice a month.
okay.
And don't ask me when the next time they're meeting, but
It's the first and third Mondays of the month.
Okay.
So-
So this is merely to recommend it go to the next board.
Yes.
You're kind of a buffer to say.
There
it
you go.
doesn't-
I like
okay.
that word.
Right.
we take the brunt.
Okay, no, that's all.
Don't repeat me.
And you can check the agenda for the Board of Trustees online.
Yes.
Those will be posted under the Clay Township All Documents tab.
And look for it.
Okay, and just to be clear, they will be the ones making the decision, the final decision. Okay,
Just a recommending body. This
only
body is a
zoning.
recommending body.
got it.
No enforcement abilities, all the above.
That clears it all. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for asking the questions. We appreciate you attending.
Push it
so.
back to the planning committee.
Yes, it has. Yes, it can get kicked back to us, too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Don't remind us.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah, don't jinx us either. Okay, any more public comments? I don't see anybody raising their hand or approaching, so I'm going to presume we have no more public comments. I'm going to go to item number 14, which is adjournment.
Support.
Second.
We have a motion
Motion support.
to adjourn, correct?
Yeah.
Supported
Motion
by
to adjourn.
Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting's adjourned again. Thank you for the people who are still here for attending.